What is it that your relationships are saying about or to you? Well, the first thing to realize is that you do not always attract those people who reflect that which you are. I'll repeat that. You do not always attract those people who reflect that which you are. But 100% of the times, you definitely attract those people with whom you're perfectly aligned for your journey on earth. Now, in our New Age spiritual world, I guess there has been a lot of misunderstanding around this. And I guess it's just a flaw in the wording, where it was generalized as saying that the people in your life are reflecting who and what you are. This may be the case sometimes, but not all the time. And because of the flaw in the wording, it caused a flaw in understanding. So relationships are there in our lives for many reasons. And I remember once where, while I was on this spiritual path, someone did something that I wasn't pleased about, and when I brought it to the person's attention, the person's reaction was not very pleasant. And when I pointed this out to the individual said, well, if that's what you're seeing in me, then that too is in you. And then I started to look at it and I said, but I'm not like that. I'm not inconsiderate and wouldn't think about how I'm affecting others, at least not deliberately being like that. And that is what started me looking at everything that was being put out there in this New Age spiritual world. So I encourage you to listen to what many have to say, because there are many good things out there to learn and to bring into your life. But I always say, listen, question, and examine. Take all the teachings, bring it into your life, and watch, observe, become the observer. And when you become the observer, certain realizations will occur. And you will begin to see why certain relationships exist in your life. And relationships reflect different aspects of your existence. One of them, definitely, whether these relationships actually are taking place in the workplace, whether it is at home, among friends, in your spiritual group, there is some purpose for these relationships. So let us examine what they can reflect. One of them is that relationships can certainly reflect that which you are. And this is very common among those relationships that are very comfortable. They are the ones that resonate. They're in harmony. Some of them even are there to be instruments to help you along your way in life, to get certain things done, to be instruments to give you a second chance. I know when I look at my friends, I have friends from different backgrounds, friends who are in the spiritual world, as well as friends in the worldly world. And one thing I've noticed about my friends is that what we share, and they reflect back to me, is that there is this common denominator among us. I believe that there's that genuinity and honest friendship between us, truly genuine, caring people, and that I know reflects back to me. Also, you would find that in certain instances, if you are in a relationship with someone and you see a distasteful quality, such as this individual has an anger issue, you might actually have an anger issue. Or you may not, but you have to look at it. And when the anger arises in the individual, you, instead of reacting to it, you have to step back outside of yourself almost and look at it and examine it and see whether this is a quality, a distasteful quality that is arising in this individual on a continuous basis, and whether or not that is something that exists in you. that is also a part of you. So for you to do that, you have to be honest with yourself and truly face yourself and see if this exists or whether or not it's true for you. And if you see this distasteful quality, then you know it's not you, and it's something you are there to help that individual through it. Now, another thing that relationships can reflect back to you is that which you are not. And when it reflects back to you that which you are not, it's because you may be seeing a quality that is probably obnoxious, which you don't like in the individual. You may actually be self-righteous and very moralistic, so you find that you are going to find yourself in a challenging situation where your self-righteousness is going to be brought to light, and you're going to see people doing everything that are against your moral values. And unless you learn to figure out that the reason they are there is not for you to judge their actions, but for you to bring attention in on your self-righteousness, because obviously you think you're above and better than them, and this is something to humble you. And it's really meant when you see these type of qualities that you judge, resent, and are self-righteous about, you have to look at it and learn to observe and see, understand this is where people are, and that they're teaching you exactly how not to be, as well as you need to see how not to be, that is self-righteous and judgmental. You can observe but not judge. Then there are relationships that come into your life that may actually bring out a need for balance. And an example of this is when you have controlling and domineering people in your life. And this is very common between couples. One may actually be very controlling and domineering. And when this happens, you need an indicator, and this is just one example. It's not always the case how it's going to express itself, but the controlling individual is one who doesn't know how to suggest, but one who will actually demand that you do something in a particular way, exactly how it needs to be done in his or her opinion, and within a certain time frame. And if it's not done, then that individual, the controller, becomes very upset and may actually tell you that you are stubborn, not realizing that you have an opinion for yourself also, or you may want to do it in your own way. That's an example of someone who wants to control you. And when this comes up, what you need to do is look in the relationship and realize that you're in a situation not to be controlled, and the controller needs to realize that he or she is in that situation not to control, but actually to bring the balancing energies of the male and female into in each person. So the controller needs to soften and allow the feminine energy of softness to come in a little bit more into his or her life, so that there is that balance of male and female energy of rational and understanding and love and care and compassion. And likewise, for the individual who is being controlled, needs to realize that he or she needs to be a little more assertive and stronger within oneself to balance that male and female energy. There are other situations where we would find that you have relationships in your life that actually push your buttons. And what happens is that many people look at the individual who's pushing those buttons and is not looking at which buttons that are being pushed. So you're trying to get the person to stop pushing your buttons when you need to start looking at the buttons that are being pushed. And it might be issues such as trust issues you have, insecurity, whatever the issues are. Look at those buttons that are being pushed, because they're there to bring out some healing in you, something that you need to work on within you. There are also relationships, and it doesn't happen to everybody, but some people actually find themselves in relationships whereby they are taken down into a very dark place. They feel stripped down and thrown into an abyss, a very dark hole. And you would often hear people describe it as though they've lost themselves. They don't know who they are anymore. And when this happens, if they learn to become the observer of themselves, and they would actually find themselves rising up. And when they rise up out of that abyss, that dark hole that they spent some time in, where they had to do some self-examination now, they would find that they would rise up stronger and in a new and different way. And they would see themselves truly as a transformed individual. Now, when people come into your life who are instruments used to take you down that dark hole, you have to thank them when you rise up. Because when you rise up, you'd see how transformed you are. And the self that you thought you lost, you'd be very grateful that you lost that self, because you would see the weakness in that self. Because when you rise up so transformed and different that you cannot help but be grateful. Now, you'd find that when you reach a point in your life where all these healing is taking place, because you feel as though you were broken in some aspect of your life, and you start to become whole in that area, you're going to find that naturally the people who were the instruments in your life to bring this into place, you would find that these relationships may start to fall away. And they may fall away because they've served their purpose in your life. Or you may consciously choose to actually end the relationship because you've seen the healing that has occurred, and you've seen it as serving a divine purpose in your life. And so you make the conscious decision that there is no need for this relationship, and the relationship ends without enmity, wishing each other well on their different paths. And this often occurs when you have been healed in a certain area of your life, but the other person in the relationship has not learned anything as yet and needs to move on and learn from somebody else. Excuse me. Now, when this healing takes place and you've been grounded in this area of your life that is now feeling whole and alive, you may find that you are actually thrown back into a similar situation. And there are two possible reasons for this. And there could be more, but I'll point out two main reasons. The first one is you're going to be tested to see if you're truly grounded in your healing, if you're truly feeling whole in that area of your life, and if you're strong and steady and sturdy in that area. So you're going to be thrown into a similar situation. The other reason is that you are perfectly aligned with these people, or in this particular situation, because they are people who need to learn from you. So they will continue with their actions that you were familiar with in the past with other people, but now it's reflecting to you from other people, because you are going to be the instrument to stand up to them and to show the balance that exists within you, the male and female energy, and the wholeness in the parts that you felt were broken. When you are strong enough to stand up and deal with the situation in a much more enlightened way, or deal with the people in a more enlightened way, you're going to find that you'll be shifted out of the situation. And if those people haven't learned anything, then other people will come into their lives to teach them what they need to learn. So, we're actually here on Earth for many different reasons. Yes, to experience life. But we're here to have relationships. And the relationships are reflecting to us different aspects of ourselves. And they're here really for two main reasons: to bring about healing in the areas of our lives that are actually broken, so that we can become whole again. And also to bring about that balance in us, that male and female energy. And you're going to find that many people are going to come and want to tell you what it is you have to learn. But you need to become the observer, because what you have to learn in a particular situation may be completely different to what somebody else may have to learn in a similar situation. So you are the one who have to become the watchful observer of yourself, to see what the relationships you have in your life are saying about you and to you.